Hey guys, and welcome to Smart Women Read Romance, a book review podcast where we fangirl over all things romance. I'm Jessin.
And I'm Juliet.
And today we'll be reviewing Lore Olympus Volume 1, a collection of the first 25 episodes of Rachel Smith's popular webtoon series. But before we dive in, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform, and please rate and review us. If you want more romance discussions, follow us on our social media pages at SWReadRom, join our Facebook group, The Swoon Zone, and follow my YouTube channel, Jessin Reads Romance. If you'd like some podcast extras, become a patron of the podcast on Patreon, where we have extra content, including exclusive episodes and giveaway free enamel pins, stickers, books, and bookmarks. Special shout out to our patrons. We love and adore you, and I'm so excited that we're featuring this on
fun.
the podcast.
This is fun because this has been our obsession for quite some time.
Couple of years now, I would say.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where I was within the story when I was all caught up and I started to have to wait for episodes, you know, because it's like binging those first, dozen or so episodes. And then whenever you catch up, this is a serialized webcomic. And so you have to wait for the next episode to come out.
Yes.
And it's very exciting. And it's been a part of my life for a while now. And the fact that it's a bind up now and it's in book form, it makes it a lot easier to review because it's like we never knew to review Lore Olympus. Where do we cut it off?
Where do we stop? Right.
So,
so now she has volumes.
This just made it easier.
Yeah,
we're going to review volume 1 and we're so excited about this. Okay. I love this art. And also, I just love Hades and Persephone retellings. And this kind of set the bar for me for the type of romance I want to be told with Hades and Persephone.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's equal parts wholesome, but also Hades is such a good guy, but he is such a badass too. Like, it's equal parts. And she is too. She is sweet, a little naive in some situations, but she also will stand her ground.
And she's very powerful.
Very powerful. And I love the world that Rachel has created. And she's been doing this for even longer than webtoons. I wasn't reading it when she was on another platform. And then when she switched to webtoon, she started all over again, basically. So this has been out there for a while
on webtoons when you had mentioned it. That was the only reason I downloaded the app was for this book and this story, and it's so visually stunning, and the story is so hypnotizing. It's just amazing. It
is. And she does take her time to unfold this story. So if you're looking for a complete Hades and Persephone story, this is not it.
Right? It's still ongoing.
This is not a complete romance. There's no HEA yet. There is the promise of an HEA though.
Right.
But it's an ongoing story. It's still unfolding. There's still lots to be told. But it was really fun going back to the beginning because it's been a while since I read from episode 1.
Right.
Sometimes I'll go back and go look on a couple episodes where I'm like, oh, I need to go reread what happened in that scene. But going back from episode 1, it was just like, it's so crazy.
It's so funny to see right when they meet and all that part. It's so funny because having, like you said, been reading this for years and going on, we're at 183 episodes for you because you're in the fast pass.
Yes, I am in the fast pass.
for me because I'm nuts.
I can't stand it. I have to be in there.
You're eventually going to get to a stopping point. You can't go further. But yeah, so we've been invested for a long time. So the volume 1 is just episodes 1 to 25, which is like the meet cute and leading up to the main source of conflict. Also,
yes, a big source of conflict, and it ends definitely on a cliffhanger. If you're planning on just reading the book, I want to know how that turns out for you because the episodes are available on Webtoon, and you can read them for free if you're not fast passing. But I wouldn't be able to stop at episode 25. It's highly bingeable,
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about the characters real quick, and then we're going to get into the spoiler section because we're going to start reviewing what's actually happening and how Rachel kind of built this world for Lore Olympus. So Lore Olympus is a mix of modern and also it touches on a lot of the myths, and I love how she set this in a world that's dual. It is ancient Greece and it's also very modern, very high tech.
Right.
And it's very, very cool.
Yes.
So the mortal realm is back in ancient Greece.
Right.
Greece
the mortal
times.
realm's way back in the times.
Way back in the times. But if you go to Olympus and if you go to the underworld, they're wearing modern clothing. They have cell phones, computers. They're extremely high tech. Very, very tech. So very, very cool. And we're introduced to our heroine of the story, Persephone. She, in this iteration, is the goddess of spring and the daughter, which Demeter's kept hidden in the mortal realm for most of her life. So Persephone is only like 18, 19 years old, and she's lived basically, you know, as a human. And she hasn't been to Olympus until recently.
Yeah, she's recently given her to Artemis. She's Artemis's roommate.
Artemis's roommate, and she's rooming with her in Olympus, and we'll talk about it later, but we get the sense that Demeter is a very huge helicopter mom. Helicopter mom, okay? She does not want her baby to be spreading her wings, but Persephone is ready. And then she has a run-in with the god of the underworld, Hades. And in this iteration of the story, there are some relations, like Hades and Zeus and Poseidon are related, but Hera's not related to them. Like the family tree has been made so that there's no ancestral relationships in this.
So we have the three brothers as the main big gods.
Exactly. And right now, Hades is in an on-again, off-again relationship with Menthe, a river nymph, who is also his personal assistant. Okay?
Yes.
So that's where our story begins. And I can't wait to dive in because this is going to be so much fun. Volume 2 comes out in February, I think. Maybe a little bit later, March.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
It got pushed back because of the shipping delays and all that jazz. I think maybe it was going to be in February, but it got pushed back a little bit. But Volume 2 is coming. They just need to bind them up, which I do like that. It's not like we're waiting for the story to be told to actually, you know, have it printed.
It's just to have
it
this,
printed.
Yeah.
It's going to eventually catch up. It's where we're at. And that'll be fun because then we'll be talking about, you know, the most recent episodes pretty soon. And there's some drama, guys. There's some drama.
Oh, yeah.
So, guys, if you have not read Lore Olympus, Volume 1, you should totally go back and go read that. And then you can chat with us about it. All right, guys. We're in episode 1. You know what is so interesting? Going back to the beginning episode and seeing how much Rachel's art changed in the first volume.
Yes.
Volume 1.
Yes.
It's only 25 episodes and her art went from, you know, this, like the way that Hades is even depicted, he's a much darker blue and like his hair is not white yet. And so it's just like so cool to see the changes, the subtle changes, and like Persephone as well. Like she's completely different too. She's a different color pink as well. And I just love going back to that art style change. You could really like see it and witness it. But the first chapter is really short, but definitely gives us a handle on the relationship between Hades and Menthe. So Menthe is someone that we love to hate.
Yes.
Absolutely love to hate.
She's basically, it seems to me that their relationship is very one-sided. Hades is very devoted to her, and she just like kind of blows him off, and he's kind of like her boy. She seems to treat him like a boy toy a little bit.
She does, because she stands him up. She's supposed to be going to a party.
She's supposed to go to this party with him, which he's anxious. He has anxiety about going to this party by himself, and she's just like, I'm just like, she's like in her tub. I just don't feel like it. Like, no, you know. She
just also asked him like,
hey,
did you buy that purse that I wanted you to buy me?
Yes,
like that's what she's worried about, you know.
Yeah. And then
she tells him something that immediately in the first chapter I was like, I hate this fucking bitch.
Yeah.
She says, I don't feel like being seen with you in general. She doesn't want to be seen with him in public, and she also tells him that he stinks of death. So like, okay. Immediate reaction, this is an abusive, toxic relationship.
Right.
Menthe is not a good, nice person at all. And she's not a good girlfriend. So Hades has to go to this party alone. And the reason why he doesn't like to is because all of his siblings are paired up. You know, Zeus and Hera, happily married.
And he just feels like the lonely loser.
He's the lonely loser. He's the odd man out. He's the odd man out. And so he's like with his brothers, and they're in like their VIP section, looking out into the crowd.
Right.
Poseidon spots Odysseus and is just like, oh my God. Did
Who
you
let
invite him
him
here?
in?
Who's here? And then Odysseus runs into Persephone, and that's whenever Hades has his first glimpse of Persephone. And he's like, I love this moment because he's just like, guys, who is this?
Who is that? He is stunned stupid at this beautiful young girl. And he's like, he even says, like, she's more beautiful than Aphrodite. Like,
yes.
It slips from his lips.
And he's just talking to his brothers, but guess who overhears?
Aphrodite.
And
she's a very jealous goddess.
She is a very jealous goddess.
So we know that's not going to be good.
Nope, not at all. So what happens is Aphrodite overhears this and wants to give Hades and also Persephone a little taste of their own medicine.
And teach them.
Plays a little trick on them. So we see her text her son Eros. And this is also super funny because
it is.
The character design for Eros has changed so drastically from here. First of all, you'll see it in this first 25 episodes, his evolution, because he looks nothing like what he looks like now.
And he's such a swoony sweet boy later.
I know. He looks like kind of like a preppy asshole in the first couple episodes.
And he's acting like a preppy asshole. So I guess it suits.
And then now I love Eros. He's honestly one of my favorite side characters.
He's such a cinnamon roll.
And he's such a supportive friend after he plays his trick.
After he plays his trick. So when he's feeling very pressured by his mother, so his mother's like, look, we have to teach her a lesson. I want you to basically, slip her a little drug so she'll go to sleep into her drink, and then we'll slip her into Hades' car. And like basically, he'll be stuck with this girl and there'll be a big scandal. We'll send the, paparazzi, la, la, la. So that's what he does. And the whole time he's feeling guilty about it too.
I know. He even tries to like convince her not to do it. Like I love how he puts Persephone's face up and he's like, look at her. She's the personification of a cinnamon roll. Why are you jealous of a cinnamon roll? Like, she's so cute and sweet. This? And Aphrodite's just like, just listen to me. And like, you have to do this for me because I took care of that Psyche thing. Yeah. And he is like frustrated, and we'll get more into that later. So the other myths do tend to unfold in the background. Yeah. But the main story is Hades and Persephone, but you might see, some Eros and Psyche in there. Yes. I think that they have the biggest storyline throughout the series. Theirs is one that is come back to like again and again.
Right. And then we see Daphne
comes into play as well. And it's just really fucking cool. I love the way that Rachel chooses to tell this. Mm-hmm. So I love how Persephone wakes up in the strange place, and she there's also like flashbacks with Hades and how he found her in his car. Like, he noticed her while he was already on the way home, and he knows who she is, but also he doesn't know where to bring her. So he ends up by bringing her home.
Completely passed out. He's like trying to like, hello. Can I? And I love how he's like so gentle. He's like, I'm sorry for manhandling you, but I'm carrying you to, so you'll be safe, and he's taking her to like another extra bedroom, not to his own bedroom. He's talking
to her so sweetly, and he's like, I'm going to take off your shoes because I know how uncomfortable that is to go to sleep with your shoes on.
Blisters on your feet.
Yes, and he's just being so sweet, giving her water and like laying her down, and she's just like, don't tell my mom,
my mom would be so mad.
Like, I don't know what happened, and he's like, I won't, it's fine. And so like she goes to sleep, and then she wakes up, and she's like, where am I? So she starts going, she explores. And one thing that we didn't really mention, because we'd have to absolutely just quote the hell out of it, is it's pretty funny. I love Rachel's style of humor, just like the situational humor that she has with this. It's really good. Because like Persephone sees like a huge indoor swimming pool, and she's like, who the fuck needs a pool this big? This is crazy. And then we get introduction to some of Hades' dogs. I freaking love Hades' dogs.
Me too. And I love to, it's so funny because Hades gets all scared that the dogs are going to attack her, but like they immediately, like Cerberus like falls all over for her.
I love how she wasn't worried.
No, she's like, who's a good dog, Cerberus? And in Hades' head, he's like, why? This is the first time I've ever been jealous of my own dog. She's like scratching their belly and scratching them under the chin. It's so cute.
Exactly. And then after she handles Cerberus, she goes up to him and he helps her up and stuff, and they have their first hand touch moment. And I really love this moment because we get like that zing, that spark between their hands, and I love that. But also, this is kind of something that happens throughout the series, so you have to kind of pay attention to Persephone's hair and also her flower crowns, because there's a little flume in her she has like a little flower crown and it's blue flowers. So this happens around Hades. This happens around Hades, and I freaking love it. Okay. I love it.
I do too.
It's a loss of control of her powers, but definitely the flowers mean something, because there's other types of flowers that will appear on her hair later on, and it has a lot to do with her mood. So it's very, very cool the way that Rachel does that.
It is very cool.
And so Persephone asks, she's like, man, I'm really cold. I'm in this short little mini dress. Can I have a coat or something? And this is one of my favorite moments. And Hades decides to go get her this really fluffy, beautiful, expensive coat.
Pale pink fur coat.
Yes. And he was like, well, Hera didn't want this.
Yeah, I tried to give it to her for her birthday and she didn't like it. Would you like it? And she's just like, it's the most beautiful fur coat I've ever seen. And he's just like, he's literally just like dying for her.
He is dying for her already.
Yeah.
And I love it. Also, I do have to mention at this point, there is a bonus chapter at the end of the actual physical copy of Lore Olympus.
That was really cute.
Which is really cool. It's just kind of like a deleted scene, basically, that we've never seen before.
And it's a tie-in to this episode.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I wanted to mention it. But while he is just talking to Persephone, he's like offering her coffee, and she even like lies, saying like, yeah, I like coffee, which I don't think she's ever had it before. And they're in the living room. He gets a call from Minthi, and he ignores it. And Persephone,
she sees that.
Yeah, she sees it. Yeah. And she even asks him, like, who's Minthi?
I love, he's like, oh, we're just, she's just I forget what he says, like just some sort of like an acquaintance of mine. Oh, one of your lovers?
Yeah, your lovers?
And he's like, what? He's like frozen in yours. Like, well, you and your brothers have a reputation, you know.
And I love how internally, there's so much good internal monologue. Internally, he's screaming. Like, how are my brothers ruining this for me? And they're not even here. They're not even here. And they're ruining it for me with their fucked up reputation.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And that's also one thing that I really love about the Hades and Persephone myth, is that Hades is loyal to Persephone. Like, they are married and they fucking rule the underworld. I'm like, that's a power couple to me.
Right. He's not philandering around like Zeus and Poseidon.
No,
you know?
Exactly. Well, in this story, which we kind of get a hint of it later in a later chapter, Poseidon and his wife are kind of like polyamorous. They're fine.
Oh, that's true. It's an open marriage.
Yeah, it's an open marriage. So yeah, and when he's kind of like trying to convince her that he's not like his brother, she's like, do I look like a scoundrel to you? And this has become like a meme. Everyone loves to redraw this, because like he looks like a scoundrel whenever he's talking to her.
Yeah. But then she gives him a percentage, like he's
20%
20% scoundrel. Right, and then he says something else and she goes, 21%.
So it's like cute. A little thing between them. Yeah. It's super cute. They have super cute banter. And also he decides to give Persephone his card, like, oh, I didn't formally introduce myself, you know.
Right, you don't even know my name.
Even though, you know, everyone knows who I am.
Yeah.
But, you know, he has his business card, and it says Hades, god of the underworld, and all that. And it even has his true name. I also really love how it says contact. Instead of like a phone number, it says hit hands to the ground twice to contact. So funny. And there's a really cute little Q&A within Lore Olympus Webtoons comic. When Rachel had to take a couple breaks, she did like a Q&A, and she'll do like extra little sketches. And there's one of Persephone like on the floor, like tapping the ground, like, because she wants to call Hades. And it's just so cute. I really love it.
Yeah. And then Corey has her card. She's like, oh, I have one too.
Yes.
And it's like a handmade card she made.
And it says Corey on it.
Yeah. It just says Corey
is
Goddess of Spring.
Goddess of Spring. So she's had a name change, and this is going to come back again. We're going to circle back around probably in volume 2 to this name change. So we just know that she's like, that's an old one. That's an old one, you know?
And he's like teasing her because it obviously looks like DIY. Yeah. Very, you know.
It's a very playful,
it is.
It's cute.
It's a cute little card, and she's all embarrassed, and he's like playfully teasing her, not making fun, but it was adorable. It's like, no, I'm keeping this forever. You know?
Exactly. And so I really love their initial meet cute
very playful,
and relationship.
very sweet.
And he is just so smitten. And there's also a moment where, so her hair grows when she's experiencing high emotions.
Stress.
Like she can do it on purpose, but sometimes it's out of her control. And so her hair is super long right now. And so she turns around, she has like the fur coat and stuff. And she turns around and she's like, can you help me with this? And it looks like she's taking off her coat. Hades misunderstands the situation, thinks that this is an
offer of sex.
Yes. And he's like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this in the kitchen because, people can see.
And she's like,
what's so wrong with you helping me with my hair?
With my hair? Wait.
He's like, of course. That is what you wanted. That is exactly.
But I love the visuals of this scene. The other thing is her pink and his blue are so beautifully contrasting on the page.
Yes.
I love seeing it. So he is sweeping her hair back. It's such a pretty visual. I love this one.
And that's exactly why she chose those colors. In one of the Q&A, she says she loves, she had to really think hard when you have Persephone in Hades' world. She wanted Persephone to really pop and stuff like that. And it's just really beautiful, and I love that.
It is.
So she needs to go home. So Hades is going to bring her home, but not before she's like, "How many dogs do you have?" Because his little Pomeranian looking dog yaps at her, Cordon Bleu, and that's whenever we learn that Hades is the ultimate dog dad.
Yes.
He has 7 dogs, and they're all rescues pretty much. I wish we would see more dogs. Cerberus is probably the one that we see the most.
Yeah. Cerberus and the little palm.
Oh yeah, later. Oh, I freaking love her. She's so freaking cute. And I love how they're walking out of his house and there's a paparazzi.
Of course, the paparazzi is there. It's like, oh, finally something good. So,
juicy.
And the pictures look like she's got this fur coat half off her shoulders. It looks all seductive, even though it's
scandalous.
oh, this is the walk of shame sort of thing, and he's taking her back to her house.
Exactly.
I also love when he delivers her to Artemis. Artemis is like, did he touch you? And in her head, we think of all 7 times he touched her.
Persephone's like, no, it didn't touch me once, but she's thinking about all the times.
He touched me on my cheek, he touched me on my shoulder, he touched me on my hand.
Was very meaningful to her. She's cataloging all of the little touches that are happening between them, and so that's touches. So it's this is the right now. This is the makings of this crush.
Yes,
that Persephone is
serious
having.
Attraction, infatuation between them both.
Yes, so not deep feelings yet, but just crush. Oh my God, she's really beautiful, and she is oh cool, the king of the underworld. He's a lot different than I thought he would be. He's pretty nice. Because her mom's warned her off of basically all the gods in Olympus and the underworld. But of course,
Artemis is just all those gods, they'll just screw anything. And she's basically sort of saying he is just like all the others and you need to stay away from him because all he wants is sex or whatever.
Exactly. So Artemis is just look, why don't you go change and stuff, and what the fuck is this coat? Go take off that coat. We can't let your mom see that. We can't let your mom see that. And also, this is one little tidbit that I really appreciate that Rachel included. So Persephone is a short, stack, curvy heroine. And whenever she's doing her little outfit change, she's also very pretty comfortable with her body. Yeah. Because whenever she's in the mortal realm, sometimes they go nude and it's fine. So we do get a glimpse of her in just her underwear, and she has stretch marks. So Rachel draws Persephone with stretch marks, and I really like that. They're so cute. I just real woman. Yeah. Real woman right there. And so whenever she gets back there, Artemis is just I just want to know what happened, so you're sure that nothing happened. And you know what would make this easier? If you would have a cell phone. So here, take my old one. It's old and cracked and stuff like that. And Persephone reacts to this old cracked cell phone
it's amazing
it's the best thing she's ever had because she's not techie. She's grown up in the mortal realm, so she hasn't had access to any of this technology, and she doesn't even really know how it works that well.
But I love that the first person she texts is Hades, because she has his phone number.
Card. Yeah,
so she texts him and she's like, hey, I'm just letting you know I got a cell phone, calling to say hi. It was just random.
She says, hey, it's me.
Hey, it's me. I got a cell phone, like so excited. Like that was it. It was like very random. Like he would not know who this was.
And we have that scene where he checks his phone and he just throws it into the passenger seat because he's like, unknown number.
I don't know
okay.
Who that is. And also at that time, Minty has been driving him batshit crazy, leaving him
voice messages.
Like, where are you? Stop being a baby. And,
you're
stop
pouting.
ignoring me. But now, and then I love how when Minty finally starts to get nervous, she's like, he really is not calling me back. Like, and he realizes, I think the contrast of this sweet,
his interaction.
Sweet young woman, Persephone, compared to how Minty just treats him like trash.
Exactly.
And he's like, I don't want that in my life anymore. So he's cutting her out.
Exactly. And that's what I love to see.
Yeah.
So back at Artemis's house, we hear a knock on the door and Artemis is like, who's over here? It's Eros. And now he has his new style.
Yes.
He changes a little bit towards the episodes where we're in. But
and he's brought apology pastries.
Apology donuts. And I also love how Artemis is like, no men are allowed here.
Oh, this is the humor when you're talking about it. She's like, and she actually in this scene, she says, no men are allowed into my home. And she's in full, she's in
warrior, her God form.
Yeah, God form. And he goes, but I brought apology donuts. And she's like, okay. And then the next scene, they're sitting on the couch eating the donuts. It's so funny.
Rachel's really good at the humor. You've got to read it. There's no way that we could do it justice without you actually witnessing, because she puts so much humor into her actual character design as well.
Right.
Where the characters are
so intense.
They're little their little cutesy faces too that she'll do. It just conveys so much humor, and I really love it. But okay, one of my favorite parts about Eros coming with his apology donuts is so he wants to know that she's all right after going to Hades.
Right.
And she basically just says like, oh no, it was fine.
He was so sweet. He was nice to me.
He was so sweet. And he goes, wait. He's like, you have a defensive tone. You're slightly flushed. You have high body temperature. This is all the signs of a crush. You like Hades. And
because Eros is the god of love. Of course he would recognize this.
Exactly. And she's like, no, I don't. No, absolutely not. And he is internally, he's like, sure, I don't believe you. Okay. So Artemis even asks, like, okay, so you came here with your apology donuts. So why did you even follow your mom's orders? Like, I know you're not like a lapdog for her. And here's where we get the little backstory about Eros and Psyche. And so it's really kind of cute because Eros and Aphrodite have a really cute like mom-son relationship.
Right.
And he's such a mama's boy. So whenever Aphrodite's down in the dumps, he's like, what's wrong, Mama Bear? And she's like, well, there's these mortals and they said like this woman was, more beautiful than me. And he's like, give me her name. I'll take care of this. And so he goes to the mortal realm and like he runs into this pig and he's like, you're an ugly creature. But then he starts carting him around.
I know. He's so cute.
He's such a cutie. And so he's invisible.
Yeah.
And he's just observing. Well, who's this woman that's supposed to be as beautiful as my mom, which is just crazy. And he sees Psyche. And at first he's just kind of like,
I love like, she's not all that. But then he's like pulling off her veil. He's invisible, like tugging it off.
And like, then he's following her. And then he's like, oh no, we don't want to let you trip on your dress and stuff. And like, he's helping her. Like, she can't see him.
Yeah. He's just like there invisibly helping her. Yeah.
And then he witnesses what her home life is. And her mom is only worried and dad only worried about marrying her off. Yeah, slaps her because she doesn't want to marry this old geezer of a dude. Yes. Okay.
And she's like, don't you be disrespectful. You be grateful for what you have. And like immediately we see Eros, like his like scowly face comes in.
He's I don't like your mom. Your mom is a bitch. I don't like your mom at all.
And he's telling her these things, but she can't hear him.
Yes, exactly.
It's so adorable.
So later on we see him. He brought his pig back to the Olympus realm, like the more modern realm, and he's in the living room with his mom. And then he tells his mom, he's like, Mom, I want an apartment. And she's like, okay.
He's like, okay, honey.
Here you go. We'll do your apartment. So he has this plan. He goes back to the mortal realm and he's in full regalia and he also has a helmet on so nobody like can recognize him. They just think he's like this monster, okay?
Yeah.
This disguise.
Because the mom said, I want you to make her fall in love with the most terrifying, hideous monster of all.
Exactly.
And so he goes with like,
and so he rescues her.
Yes. And even we missed a little bit of interaction between her and her future husband. And he's even like bearing down on her and is like, you should be grateful for everything you have. And it's like, he's just a hideous person.
Hideous personality. And so she gets rescued.
Eros sweeps her away and they're like, who are you? He goes, I am the most hideous monster of all. So I love it. It's like, he's basically saying she's going to fall in love with me.
Yes, exactly.
It's awesome.
And then we see, it's really cute. So he's he's helping Psyche learn how to read and write. So because, girls weren't educated back then. So he's giving her all those tools. And then we see that they're in a relationship. But the thing is, Psyche is a little bit frustrated with being cooped up. She doesn't want to stay in the house. And she's like, the garden really doesn't count.
Right.
And so she kind of is like, well, you know what would help if I could have like visitors? Wrong move. Wrong move.
Very wrong move.
Because she invites her sisters, and her sisters are quite jealous.
They're very jealous. And this also follows the line of the original Greek myth, too, that the sisters were the ones who convinced her that, you don't even know who you're, sleeping with and who this is. Like, you're not really in love. He's really a monster and he's tricking you. I mean, this is all very aligns with the original Greek myth, which I thought was very cool. I thought, like, you need to protect yourself. And so they give her a dagger and they're like, you need to protect yourself and kill this monster before he tricks you and you're stuck here forever with him. And so she sneaks into his bedroom and, the veil's lifted and it's Eros, and he is heartbroken that she did not trust him and that she believed in her sisters. And he's just like,
you betrayed me.
You betrayed me.
And so he flies off, and he's back telling Artemis and Persephone his sob story.
Yeah, with the donuts. We're back.
Yeah, saying that he was heartbroken. It was like the most awful thing, and he told his mom, and his mom promised to take care of it. But now he regrets it. Now he's like, I reacted hastily. I wish I didn't storm off. Like I want to talk to her again, but like he doesn't know where she is. Okay.
Yeah, she's so like this missing is a now.
Big mystery. And Lore Olympus is where is Psyche? And I can't wait to Volume 2 to talk about it. Hey. Yeah. So exciting. And then, Eros is just kind of like, okay, Persephone, you and I are friends now. So let me put my contact number in your phone. So he takes her phone and he's like Hades. Like she has two contacts, Artemis and Hades. Yeah. And he's like, you little minx.
You little tart.
So like I love how he's kind of like rooting for her in the background. Like he's not pushing her about it, but he knows something's up. And so he's like this quiet witness to their crush developing. Right. And I really love it. So he's on to them. He's on to them right now. And then when Eros finds out that Hades gave her a coat, he's like, oh, I want to see. And then he tries it on. He's like, I love this.
He's so funny. Y'all, I love Eros' personality.
And he says like, oh, can I have it? And Persephone's like, no, it's mine.
It's mine. Like, she gets all possessive.
She's like, I mean, no. I don't have any other modern clothes.
It's so funny.
Which this triggers Eros to be like, oh no, we have to do a shopping spree.
Yes.
I'm paying for everything.
I love how he becomes like her second bestie.
Yes, very quickly. And so he takes her and he buys her all kinds of clothes and they have a good day. And then
But as they're coming back, we switch gears, and Hermes and Apollo are in the car. Apollo is Artemis's twin brother. And the god of music, Hermes, obviously a messenger guy, so he's always all over the place. And he's like, they're talking about Persephone. And Apollo's like, yeah, well, I heard that she like slept at Hades' house. She must be like, basically loose or whatever. He's like, no, she's not like that. Like Hermes
knows her.
He's like, no, we know each other from work,
Yeah, exactly. She has a lot of letters. I bring her a lot of letters to the mortal realm.
Yeah.
So like they actually know each other and they're friends. And then Apollo sees Persephone walk out and he goes like, why didn't you tell me she's hot? And Hermes is like, I didn't really look at her like that.
Hermes is very innocent. He's like, what are you talking about, dude? But we can see that Apollo's like a dog. He's already like just
and he's like, stay in here. And he goes outside to like pose against his gold car.
He looks all beautiful because he's purple. He looks perfect.
He's just
he gets
like,
his gold car.
God, I'm so hot right now. Okay.
Yes.
Also, this is an iconic moment. Okay. Absolutely iconic moment because even though Apollo told Hermes to stay in the car. He doesn't stay in the car, and he actually like it's like there's a moment where it's like sneak, and he like gets out the car, and then he like flips over the hood of the car, like and then he lands, and he's like ta-da. And it's just like, I love it
And then
so
Persephone
much.
leaps into his arms. Hermes, I miss
Like
you.
reunion, friend
I
reunion.
know.
And she's not impressed with Apollo. Apollo's just like, oh, look at me. I'm the sun god. And she's like,
she didn't like him from the
okay.
first second she meets him. Like Hermes is like super sweet and she's like,
Because
I missed you so much. You look so great.
Vibes, the entitled vibes coming off of Apollo.
Very
and it's
entitled.
just really not good.
Yeah.
So now we switch to the point of view of Hades. And Hades is on the way to brunch with his brothers. He doesn't even want to go.
So funny. He hates
And then he
brunch.
finds out that it's at a strip club. And he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Brunch at a strip club. His brothers are horn dogs, okay?
I know.
And they don't even want them at the strip club. Like the owners.
the owner, the madam or whatever, she's like, I don't want y'all here. Y'all keep stealing and taking all of my good girls, you know,
damaging
and taking them away.
things and just like, you're just awful, honestly.
So Hades is like, I don't want to be here either.
No. And he wants to leave brunch soon. But the brothers are just like, so tell us about Persephone. So Eros has already called Zeus, which is his grandfather in the comic.
Yeah.
And so it's like this big gossip. And they're like ragging on Hades because Hades just kind of like, you know, it was so easy to talk to her and stuff like that. And they were just like, oh, it's so cute. Hades has a little crush and stuff like that. And then you get this moment where there's a vulnerability from Hades saying like, well, what would she want with me type of thing? Like she's this goddess of spring. Like why would she want me?
The god of the dead.
Yes. And Persephone has similar feelings too because she frequently calls herself this dumb village girl because she feels like she knows nothing about the modern world.
Her mother has kept her very sequestered and very sheltered to the point that she does not even know what it's like to be a goddess and what she should know, you know?
Exactly. So I really love this. And also, especially for Hades' point of view, because we've actually seen the relationship that's kind of made him feel this way at work, like the way that Minty talks down to him.
Right. And he accepts it.
Yeah, he doesn't think that he's worth very much at all. And it's because of fucking Minty.
It's just so sad. I hate her.
I hate her too. So Hades kind of just like, yeah, maybe I should just forget about her and, you know, brings out this ring box. And he was like, I was going to propose to Minty at the party, but she never showed up. And the brothers like groan because nobody likes Minty.
Yeah.
The brothers don't like Minty. They're like, you would have made the biggest mistake. You don't marry her. You don't marry her at all. Like absolutely not. And Hades like crushes the diamond ring in his hand and stuff like that. But he also is just kind of like, he doesn't think that he deserves Persephone either. Right. But yeah, so he just like, and Hera is actually disguised as one of the barmaids at this point and overhears them kind of talking about Persephone because
she gets really defensive.
Yes, because the brothers are just like, just admit it, you would want to do her. And he was like, well, I mean, like, yeah, she's very attractive. And like Zeus said something to the effect of, I don't understand how it works. She's so itty bitty because like they have such a height difference.
Yeah.
Then Hades is like, well, like I don't mind if she's on top.
Oh my god! And then Hera
is like, excuse me, are you talking about a goddess that I
know
she's just
and
like
respect? Here for your pleasure and just an object for your
talking about her so disrespectfully. We have a flashback to when Persephone was like a little girl and she had visited Hera and she was like quiet and a little insecure and like Hera even gave her like an extra crown and was like, oh,
and she even said, you're so beautiful. I would love to be like you when I grow up kind of thing. Yes. And so Hera's always doted on Corey. Like that's always been her little, her little something. And
so she takes Persephone like under her wing. We'll see in the next volume, but she definitely will not let her husband. And
the sad thing is that she overhears and she's thinking Hades is thinking the same as they are, but he's really not. He's kind of being goaded by his brothers and then admitting, well, I would figure it out. Like I am attracted to her. Like he's not going to say he's not, you know, but it's also, it kind of shows you that poor Hades has been bullied a little bit by even his own brothers. You know?
He's very much been bullied by his brothers.
Yeah.
And so when we're in the car with Persephone and Apollo, they're on the way back to Artemis's house because Artemis is like, my brother's going to eat dinner tonight. And Hermes had even said something like, I thought there was no men allowed in your sister's house.
Yes.
And Artemis is just kind of like, well, it's just my brother. So she makes an exception sometimes.
Yes. And it's funny.
It's up to her.
Yes. And even like Persephone's like, we can have boys. She's like, it's just my brother, and Hermes.
But like one of the reasons why Demeter allowed her to go with Artemis is because Artemis is part of like the
maiden,
the goddesses of the eternal maidenhood or whatever.
Yeah. Eternal virgins, and basically the rules are no
boys
allowed,
there. So
they start cooking and stuff.
Yeah, and Apollo he's just been an ass. Like in the car, he was just like, he's like, oh, Hades probably just wanted to get into your pants. You think you're friends with him? Like he's not friends with you. And Artemis is just like, just shut your fat face. Like she's just like annoyed with her brother, but also not taking him very seriously.
And Persephone, she's catching on to his vibes really fast, that this is not a guy I like, and even like he comes in there and he's like trying to be nicer while she's cooking, and he's like, well, I know I've been sort of, and she goes, mean, and he goes, well, I was going to say abrasive, but like he's like trying to like, but yeah, I'm being
so
a little
manipulative
I'm
this
really,
point.
Very manipulative. He realizes he came on too strong. That's not the way he's going to get her.
She's not impressed with his good looks and his fancy boy.
That's not how you're going to get her. So he tries to be the sweet guy.
Yes.
And she had cut her hand while she was cooking. And so then he's like trying to tend to her because he's also the god of medicine. And, and so he's like.
He can heal her.
Right. But the problem is he's sort of manhandling her. He like picks her up on the counter, and she's like,
no
what are you
personal
doing?
Space with this dude.
She's even like looking at his hand like, what are you doing? Because his hands are like right next to her breasts. Like he's like very touchy-feely while she's,
He's just like, I'm just helping you.
I'm just like, helping you. Yeah, right. Ass hat.
And then after he heals her, he even like, oh my God, there was a moment at the brunch where Zeus pulls up a picture that was posted on social media that Apollo posted with Apollo and Persephone. And then we get the actual situation, which is as soon as he healed the cut, he was like, oh, now we're friends. We need to take a picture. And just like forces her to take a picture. And you can see in the picture how uncomfortable she is.
Yeah, she is like awkward.
She's awkward. She's like, her eyes are wide. Like, I don't know what's happening right now type of thing. And so that's an omen.
And Apollo posted like, look at me, look who I get to hang out with, this cutie all day. Blessed. Hashtag whatever.
Hashtag blessed.
Like you asshole.
Hashtag fucking blessed. What a douchebag.
I know.
So they have dinner and they're all watching a movie in the living room and everyone's like paying attention, but Persephone's thinking in her head like, maybe I was wrong about Hades. Maybe Apollo is right because he hasn't texted me back all day.
And maybe Artemis was right that he just wants, to get in girls' pants and that's what he's like. And so she's her own self-doubt because she had texted him way early and he didn't respond, but she is not even thinking that she didn't give him her name.
Yeah, he doesn't know who you are.
When she texted, and so her whole mindset is about him, but the whole time they're on like the couch, Apollo's like got his hands around her and it's got her like snuggled up against him.
Paying attention to her. But she's thinking about how she thought that, there was something happening with her and Hades, and she really loves the way that he treated her, not like a child, because she's been so used to her mom treating her like that, and also and like Artemis is trying to like keep track of her, and just like, and she just loves the way that she feels with Hades. Okay, and so Persephone's just like, I'm just gonna go to bed, so good night everybody. And Artemis is like, yeah, we're shutting this down, and she leaves, and I'm just like, big fucking mistake, there's not supposed to be men in this fucking
Artemis
house.
Is like, y'all can finish watching the movie, just let yourselves out when you're done.
Well, Hermes is passed out on the fucking
falls
couch.
asleep, and Apollo sneaks into her bedroom. I was just like, the first time I read this, I was like, oh shit. So like I knew where it was going. But I also like how she handled it visually. So Apollo crawls into her bed and basically he rapes her.
Yes.
And the whole time he's saying all those heinous things that rapists do, like, you want this, you want me,
Rachel
be quiet.
handles this very well, and also just like Persephone. So she's having a little bit of conflict because she's like, was a little bit flattered that he thinks she's attractive, but also she's trying to say no, but she feels very pressured to go with it. And then she's kind of thinking, well, you know,
can I stop him?
I've kind of been forced into this goddess of the eternal maidenhood. This is an opportunity to get out. Should I take this type of thing? So she's thinking it over in her head.
But she's like, but I want it to be my choice.
There's no time for her to process any of this because Apollo is coming on strong. And she even gets into her own head, and she's just like, is it okay if I
stop him now?
Like, am I allowed to?
Yeah.
And it's so fucking heartbreaking.
It is completely heartbreaking because it's so real. It's so real about how a woman would feel like being pressured like this. And like, can I stop him now? Is it too late? Is it, you know, like, even after he's started, you know, like she's like, this has hurt so much. This hurts. I want it to stop. But what I loved about this was that we don't see the action so much as we see it in her head in different visuals.
Yes.
And so I thought Rachel
about how
lonely
she feels.
How lonely she feels. It's like her curled up and then her hair growing immensely, you know, hair's growing because she's like, you know, under stress. And I just thought it was very well handled.
It is.
Even though, and then afterwards it just snaps to him and he's like, and she's like, what are you doing? He's snapping pictures of her.
Yes.
Afterwards.
My heart just dropped. I remember the first time reading this episode, I'm like, oh my God, this piece of fucking shit.
I know.
I know. Like, this is awful. And to happen to like the most sweet character ever, I was just so very annoyed.
And then he's immediately into damage control. He zips up and he's like, look, remember, this is just between us.
Yeah,
this
don't tell anybody. And like, remember, you're my girl. Don't forget
you're my girl, and, like that. And you're supposed to be a maiden. So
very controlling. Okay,
manipulative asshole.
Yeah, like, he's a fucking narcissist. Also, there's a moment when this is happening where we flash to Hera briefly, and Hera's like, I feel somebody's in distress somewhere. Mm-hmm. So she has a feeling that somebody is hurting. So that'll come and we into know play later.
She has a sort of connection with Persephone. So I think that's really cool. And then it goes to Persephone immediately because, that was what I loved. I loved that Apollo's like, oh, I like your hair like this. Because it's long because he stressed her the fuck out. And he's like, keep it like this. So as soon as he leaves, she immediately cuts it all off.
Defiance.
I loved it.
Me too. I'm like, fuck you, asshole. Who cares what you like?
I know. She takes a shower and she's having all these emotions. And who's the first person she calls? She texts?
She texts Hades because she just like, she wants some kind of closure. And she's like, I just want to say thank you for the coat. You know,
and I appreciate it.
And I'm sure that you're busy, whatever. And then all of a sudden we see that Hades is calling her. And we go to Hades' point of view, and there's a flashback briefly of young Hades, okay?
Yes, with Rhea
Baby
and Kronos.
Hades, yes. So we see like the relationship with the mom, and the mom is so proud of Hades, but also
protecting him,
protecting him because Kronos is known to eat their children.
Right.
So
Kronos likes to eat his children because of the prophecy that they would overcome him.
Exactly. So we do have that flashback. And this is actually a nightmare. And Hades is reliving the experience of his father actually eating him. You know? Yes. And he wakes up and he's just like, oh shit. Like,
no, he's in Tartarus. I have him chained up. He can't get out.
He's can't hurt me, but I might need to speak to my therapist again and stuff like that. And he checks the time and he's like, 2 a.m. And he looks at his messages and he sees the text. And then I love how he freaks the fuck out because he realizes his mistake that he had accidentally ignored Persephone all day. And he's like, fuck, shit, no. And then I love his internal freakouts. Those are some of my favorite panels of the entire series because he does it a lot. One of my favorites is later. I don't remember exactly what episode it is, but he does this internal screaming thing, and Rachel does it perfectly. I was like, this is exactly what internal screaming looks like. I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah, because we get all the visuals. It's so
good. It's so good. I can't wait to talk about that one.
Yes.
But it ends, chapter 25 ends with him just being like, you know, it's okay to call, right? And so he calls. And so that's how volume 1 ends.
Oh my goodness.
And
what a cliffhanger.
Exactly. Then we have our bonus chapter, which we are going to talk about because I really love it.
It was really cute.
This was nothing that we had read before until it came out in print. And she said...
it's Hera's birthday party.
Yeah, it's Hera's birthday party, and it's some backstory on the coat that Hades gave her. And she said that, like, her editor didn't feel like it was, like, appropriate for this to be, like, a introducing Hera, but it's really about Hades and stuff. So it ended up by not making it into the comic, but it is wonderful.
I love it.
It is
wonderful. It so much. So Hades gives her this coat. When she opens up, as soon as she touches the coat, she starts having a vision. And it is a vision of Hades at the altar marrying. And she's like in her head, like, oh my gosh, who is it? Lift the veil. Let me see. Oh my goodness, he's getting married.
Before the vision ends.
And Hera's always been sort of rooting for Hades a little bit. They have a tempestuous relationship, but like she's excited to see him marrying someone and finding happiness and joy. And like before the veil is lifted, she comes out of the vision.
Zeus is like, hello, you've been staring out into space. Spacey. Hello. And so
Zeus is such a dork.
I love how she just like tells Hades, like, I can't accept this. He's like, you don't like it? And she's like, it's not for me.
It's not for me.
I love that line.
Me too.
And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do with a fur coat? And she's like, you'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. It'll come on. Like, I love Hera's whole position in their relationship. I just love it.
She's also the goddess of marriage too.
Yes,
so she's like the matchmaker.
She is. She is the goddess of marriage.
So I freaking love it. And
yeah,
guys, that is volume 1 of Hades and Persephone. And this is very much a prologue to the love story. Yeah. But it is such a worthwhile love story. The way that their friendship develops and also just like the feelings. Oh, because these are both damaged people who have been, mistreated, stepped on.
Yes.
Had people be incredibly toxic to them and abusive towards them.
And they're still like these like sweet, kind-hearted humans.
They're so
goddesses.
kind. They're so kind. And then whenever they get to go the fuck off, it's like, woo! It's so good. Oh, it's so freaking good.
Oh, yeah. I love when we get red-eyed Hades.
Red-eyed Hades and red-eyed Persephone too.
And, yes.
She can get badass, okay?
It's awesome.
It's really fucking awesome. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed our little review of Lore Olympus. We'll totally be doing more reviews as the volumes come out, because that'll be a way for us to catch up on all the episodes and just chat about it, because there are some very interesting plot lines that go down.
And obviously we've got a big arc that just started in episode 1.
Yeah,
I mean volume 1.
Volume 1. We're just getting started, so buckle up. And if you haven't read this, if this is your first time hearing about Lore Olympus and you're contemplating, you need to get the app Webtoons and finish it immediately and catch up.
You won't be able to stop, trust me.
It's gonna take a couple hours.
Yeah, it is, because she's in 80 episode.
Yeah, almost 200 episodes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to the next one where we'll be reviewing The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe. Thanks so much for listening.
This goes out to all the fangirls.
Life's better with a little HEA.